Welcome to Storm Shelter Cinema at Arlington High School, the movie review show where we inspect and critique films. Today we'll be reviewing Uptown Girls, released in 2003, directed by Boaz Yakin. I'm Angela Ray, and I'm joined today by my co-host Lillian Ewing.
Uptown Girls is a movie which revolves around a girl named Molly who has never worked a day in her life. She is tasked to nanny an overly matured little girl named Ray. Together they learn they are positive influences on each other.
The film Uptown Girls has many instances of friendship, romance, and grief. Coming to terms with grief is a really good implicit meaning for this film. A good example from the film is when Ray and Molly ride the teacups round and round together, and after Ray takes out all her anger and grief about her dad on Molly. And in the end, she hugs and forgives Molly. Molly before had told Ray to talk to her dying father and told her that she needed to do it to get over her grief. But Ray's father died that afternoon. Ray blamed Molly, then forgave her. Ray at the end of the movie also helped Molly get over her grief of her parents dying by performing a meaningful ballet dance with Molly's father's guitar collection.
I think a very notable formal element in Uptown Girls would be the acting and camera work. These two elements really work together to help convey the emotion throughout the film. An example scene we see near the end of the movie would be when Molly and Ray are at the fair together. Ray's father had just died a little before the scene, so she wasn't too sure how to handle her emotions. So she proceeded to take them out on Molly. Ray slaps Molly, hoping this would help her cope with all her grief and anger. We then proceed to see Molly slap Ray, which helps us understand how they are both struggling and having a hard time to handle their emotions. Near the end of the scene, they both hug each other and forgive each other.
I personally really enjoyed this film. I was already a really big fan of Brittany Murphy and her other movies, and this movie just adds on to that list. The sequence of Molly and Ray hating each other to finally them learning that they need each other really made me love this film. Molly in the beginning was really childish while Ray was extremely mature. They both in the end start acting like their ages and got over their grief. The scene Lillian had mentioned for her formal element really brought those themes together, and it was cinematically very telling for the situation. Though something I found bad in the film was Molly's love interest, Neil. He was extremely annoying and literally couldn't sing, especially with the accent he had when he sung. It was atrocious. Overall, I would still give this movie a thumbs up.
I definitely agree. I would probably give this movie a thumbs up. I feel like it was such a good movie. Like, all the emotion throughout the movie. Like, I definitely cried a bunch.
I cried a lot.
And how you were talking about her love interest, Neil, his singing was so bad. And it's so funny because his accent in there was just like,
because most of the time they don't sing with an accent, but that was just weird.
Yeah, it really threw me off.
But like, Brittany Murphy already has such great works, and I've been meaning to watch this movie for so long.
So does Dakota Fanning. Their acting in general is so good.
When I found out that was Dakota Fanning, I was like, it doesn't even look like her. But to be fair, she was really young in it.
Yeah.
So this film has been really popular online recently, especially
the teacup scene.
The teacup
scene. Yeah, we see that everywhere.
There's just like, it just like shows like, I think most of the trend was like your older self look at your younger self, which I honestly see in the movie.
Yeah, I really liked how they helped each other learn to act their own age, and
I just think Molly saw herself in Ray.
Yeah.
I think it just really brought along what was going on in the movie. And the emotional acting was really what got me.
Yeah, their acting was so good. Like, Dakota did such a good job
the
playing
emotions
Ray.
they brought upon, like, you can, like, feel it yourself almost.
Yeah.
And, like, the ballet scene.
It was so emotional.
It was so emotional, but
then Neil singing
was,
like, not it.
It was... But that scene was still emotional, even though that was like the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But this movie I honestly was really glad that we picked this movie.
Me too.
Because, like, again, it was just a really good movie.
Thank you for joining us today on Storm Shelter Cinema. We reviewed Uptown Girls, released in 2003, directed by Boaz Yakin. I'm Lillian Ewing, and I really love this movie, and my co-host Angela Ray very much enjoyed it as well. So we both are giving this movie a thumbs up. We'll see you next time at the movies.